Hello everyone. What's up guys? Jordan's from Bennett. What's up guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs. We are back from a nice hiatus of cleaning the car and bike and trying to get all the red dust out of our clothes, which we still haven't quite done yet. But we're on the race car today. Since being back, we have just kind of like run through a few things, shocks, which you guys have seen already, and a few other bits and bobs just to try and get it to perform a little bit better. What we're going to do today is make another hood. This will be hood number 3. As you can see, I made one, it's over there, but I used the wrong template, so that'll be a wall hanger. But anyways, what we are trying to achieve, here is the old hood that I had cut a hole in for the dual carb setup that we were going to run, which we have decided not to run. And I was just learning a little bit about using the rubber on the English wheel so that it is only shaping 2-dimensional. And yeah, basically I wasn't really happy with it. So what we're going to do on this episode is make a hood, cowl sides. We are going to make a little hand louver machine as well, very similar to what Carl's just built. I'm going to kind of take his tips and tricks and I'm going to make my own, slightly different, but just try and make a similar setup basically. And what we're going to do is build a really neat hood and cowl sides for this. So we are going to keep it the kind of brushed aluminum just to break up the paint from the burgundy on the grill to the car itself, which will be really neat. So we're going to start off by making a template off the original one because this one does fit really well. And then once I have this wheeled out on the English wheel, I'll mount it and then we will make up some templates to make the cowl sides. And then yeah, not exactly sure the louver setup or how I'll lay them out, but we'll get to that point when we do. I'm kind of thinking maybe 4 rows on the top and maybe 2 on the side of the cowl. Yeah, we'll just kind of go with what looks good when we're laying out the templates. Let's get into it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and hit that notifications button. Let's get into another episode of the race car. So with this hood, when it was on there, I had to do a few adjustments to that grill shell when we were putting it on. So I will add about 5 mil on one side of it. Everything else seems to fit really nice. I do like how far it goes down and then comes into this nice break. And I'm hoping the cowl side will come up to something similar and we can put a neat little latch. Or I do have some Zeus fasteners, which if you guys aren't familiar with those, they are a little bit maybe too new school for this, but they are very small. These ones I just got from Canada when I was there, but they're just little guys. They just use a little kind of flathead or a coin to get in there and pop them out. When we were up at the race, I was using a bolt with a wing nut and kind of had a really neat leather washer. It looked cool, but it was a huge pain in the ass to pull all 4 of them off. And then, you know, when you're going back out there, you have to get a wrench under there and spin them on and nip them all up every time we were taking the hood off. The radiator cap is right here, so obviously I was making sure it wasn't dropping water, which I had a leaky water pump, so it was dropping water. So I want to try and make it a little bit easier to remove and put on. So I reckon those Zeus fasteners are probably going to be used. So what we're going to do, I have some butcher's paper. This is just what we wrap our t-shirts in when we are selling them, but it'll work. I'm just going to tape a few of them together because I don't have any big sheets of paper to put over this to lay it out as a template. So what I'm going to do is I'll just put these over it, tape them in. I'll just make a template of this, and then we will put it onto our new sheet of aluminum, and we will get that cut out and start shaping it up. What I'm doing is just, I'm actually using the edge of the butcher's paper kind of as my line, so when I go and scrap it, it's quite easy to do rather than having to cut it. So I'm just laying out one side, I'll get it nice and even, and then I'll work on the other side, and then hopefully I can just pull it all off as one piece. This is pretty like thin stuff for kind of making a template out of, so I'd definitely recommend finding something a little bit thicker, but it's just what we got, so we're using it. But this will give us a nice indication of the layout of this. What I did last time was I made a template out of cardboard, and then that one that you saw that's sitting over there, I used an old cardboard template. I had it labeled as Roadster one, and I thought that was the proper one, and it wasn't. So it was too short by almost an inch, which was a bit disappointing. All right, so that butcher's paper is really thin, so I would suggest not using it. Maybe find something a little bit thicker. So what I've done is I got my template now cut exact to the size, and then what I'll do is I'll trace this out on the aluminum sheet. I'm gonna add 5 mil there. I'll add a 25 mil lip on the bottom. That'll be for our brake, for the lip that'll go underneath. And then I just got my center here that we will lay down and try and get everything lined up. So we are going to try and set this up now on the sheet of aluminum, and we'll see what it looks like. Oh, it's all right. Gives us an idea. All right, so as you saw, we were able to lay that butcher's paper down, get a good gauge of our template, and this one I already know fits really well, so usually if you were making one, you'd allow quite a bit of material around your edges and then you could trim it to fit, but I know that this one fits really well, and I've actually added that 5 mil, so I might have to do a little bit of a tiny bit of work on the front of that just to really get it to fit nice around that grill. But yeah, we got our edge to break at 90 degrees once this is rolled over. And so we are using 1.6 aluminum with the PVC coating on it. So fingers crossed you won't see any wheel marks. And as well as after we've done the louvers, we should be able to just peel this off, and fingers crossed it leaves us with a really neat finish is what we're kind of going with. The grain or brush look goes this way, so we're trying to kind of keep that with it, and we'll do so with the cowl sides. We'll kind of make sure that everything's going the right direction. Ideally, I would have loved to polish this, which would look really neat, but I'll have a suss. I'm not too sure if I'm going to do that or not, but I might just leave it. It's pretty nice like that, but it'd take me a while to polish and buff it, but it would look pretty cool. So that might happen. That might not. We'll see. Might as well start cutting it out. I can just do it the old-fashioned way, and that is with the candlestick. Don't jump over the candlestick. Jack, be quick. Has anyone seen a candlestick? Nice. All right, so we got that cut out. I just used an angle grinder and a bit of wax that I had. It's actually some sex wax for my surfboard because we couldn't find the candles, but yeah, a nice guillotine would be great, or some metal shears. That'd be pretty nice too. But the old-fashioned zip disc on a grinder, as long as it's got a bit of wax on it, that thing glides straight through. So it didn't take very long at all, as you saw. I just ran around with the orbital on the edges with 180 on there. And take off the burr. You can use a deburring tool, also does the exact same thing. So what we are going to do now is just mark out some of our lines. We're going to use our contour gauge. This is the one that I got in my kit with Carl's planishing hammer. I already know what this size is because I've done 3 hoods already. So we're going to put the radius lowered anvil die is actually already in there for the English wheel. So we are basically able to go straight over to the wheel and start putting a bit of shape into this. So I'm just going to mark out exactly where it starts, and then we will start to put some form into this flat piece of aluminum. Yeah, usually I'd have this nice rubber piece on the top upper wheel for the English wheel, but it doesn't stay on very well. I've had troubles with it. I've ordered another one, so it's on its way, so I'm hoping that'll be a little bit better. But for the meantime, I'm just using multiple layers of tape, and it actually does the same thing. So yeah, once it kind of wears through, I just pull it off, put some more on there. Tape's not that expensive, so luckily we can get a few out of it. So what I'm going to do straight off the bat is just run a small peak right through the middle. And I've kind of just put a Sharpie line straight onto the top upper wheel, as you can see. And what I'll do is I'll just line that up with the center of my hood here, and that'll just give me that little break that we want. Essentially, you could use like the brake for it as well, but it's just maybe a little bit too hard. I just want it to be quite subtle. So I reckon we'll just throw a pass through and see what it looks like on the other side. Wish me luck. And make sure everything is clean. You don't want anything on there. So as you can see on the bottom side, that's where it's marking it. So it's already taken a bit of that bow out of it. So I think we can run a few more passes through just to get it to fall properly. And I don't have a ton of pressure on the lower die. I'm kind of just multiple passes. It's already starting to work. Yeah, I'm kind of just letting it do the job after a few rather than putting it through really hard on one. You can see it there. It's already starting to put a bit of a small break in there, which is what we want. Yeah, so you can definitely feel it. It's there. You can see on the bottom. It's just over a little bit more of an area than putting it into the brake. That's pretty like harsh. So we're just gonna go over to the race car. I've already put a bit of tape on it. So I'm just gonna see how it fits. Right away, I've noticed that we are a bit proud right in the center. Okay, so I'm gonna use my secret technique. This is my other extremely fancy setup. That is an old oxygen bottle that is empty and a piece of wood upside down. Holds it really nice. It's just good for kind of getting it on there and just allowing a little bit of shape and kind of manipulate the aluminum on both sides. You don't have to go too much. And once we start actually using the wheel for a bit of shape, we'll be able to get a bit more out of it, but this is just to kind of get a bit of an initial curve in there. We've got a long way to go, but let's just mock it up. I'm just going to use this as a little bit of a reference as well, just so I know where to kind of get my lines started for the curve. So might just try and do it relatively evenly on both sides. I know the curve does start at 200. There's 200. That did start around 150. So we'll go 150, 150. That paper template, usually you'd use that and it'd tell you exactly where your bends are, but I kind of remember when I was doing my last one, so I should be able to kind of just shape this. So we're just gonna wheel back and forth starting here, do multiple passes and try and start to get a bit of curve out of this. And then once we get into it, I can change the radius out. It's a little bit tighter on here, but I do have a number 6 lower die on the English wheel. So we are just gonna have a bit of fun.
But nothing ever stopped me from dusting off my shoes. You might think you'll see me falling to the ground, but I threw up my
still. 15 mil.
Looking out the window, reflecting who I am. No one ever stopped me, not even Uncle Sam. Life might be a struggle.
As you can see, we're definitely getting somewhere. That nice little peak kind of in the middle of the hood runs straight into the top of the cowl, which is nice. And then we kind of have a bit of a flat spot, but it still has a little bit of contour. I just used the oxygen bottle for that. And I've just put a number 4 lower anvil wheel in for the English wheel just to tighten up these corners a little bit. So I'm just working basically on this area right here, just doing multiple passes just to try and bring that down. So we'll try and achieve to get it right, you know, tight down like that. And I'd like it with the hood, the other one fit nice, but you still kind of had to pull it down when you mounted it. But I kind of want this one to fit almost a bit snug. So we'll just take my time, run it through, do multiple passes. I don't want to tighten up that wheel too much to take too much out of it, or bend it too quickly. So I'm just taking my time, going back and forth, and then we, you know, keep checking, and yeah, hopefully we'll get somewhere pretty quickly. But you know, that's only been probably about an hour of work, and we've already got this far. So I think we're going to get somewhere. We are going to get somewhere. So I'm just going to work on this area and that one there. So that's that one and that one. So tighten that up. Tighten that up. That's actually quite all right. I can just work on these. Obviously, the radius of the front grille is quite tight compared to the cowl, so we got to just work on tightening these areas up a little bit more versus the whole thing. So we'll try and do that. We managed to get the hood fitting relatively good. Yeah, a bit nice gap, runs down. I just need to, once this pulls in, but everything else seems to fit really nice. I just need to trim a little bit off the front of this. I actually added 5 mil and I probably should have just left it. Notched out the bottom right there, and we just put a brake in the bottom as well. So it's got a 90-degree 25 mil lip, and now what we can do is measure from here down, and we can start to create the infill for the cowl side. So that's what we're going to start now. So I'm just going to get a piece of paper, write out some measurements, cut it out of cardboard, and then we'll see how she fits. It looks pretty good so far. What I need to do is just clear a little area here. It's a bit tight on the inside of this one and as well as this one, but you can kind of see where we're going with it. So I think that'll look pretty neat once it's all aluminum, maybe some louvers, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe louvers on the side are too much. Maybe I'll just keep them to the top. So what I'm just gonna do is just put a couple pieces of tape on this to hold it into place, and then be able to figure out where it's gonna sit. All right, so if I kind of tape it square into place, then I should be able to make a few measurements where square is. So what I'm going to use is a bit of tape and just tape where it needs to go. So we'll just go, this one's got to be +5 mil, cut off, tops pretty good. So tape can kind of work to kind of create your templates. And all I'm doing is just kind of getting it close. All right, new day. So yesterday you saw me cut, modify that to make it fit. And before I get it really precise, I'm just gonna make sure that this is gonna be sitting in the exact position so I know where to do my break on the top and bottom of that cowl side. So I'm actually just gonna run along with a bit of tape, and I'm just gonna try and make these lines even so it's got, you know, about a 1/4 inch gap all the way around it. I could probably make it fit a little tighter, but the amount this comes on and off, especially when we're up racing, I don't want it to be too close, just for, you know, so I don't damage the cowl too much. But yeah, so I'm just gonna run a bit of tape, make a line, and then I'll just go over, hit that with the grinder, gap it out properly, make sure it's sitting exactly where we want it. Then I'll clamp it into place, and then I can continue to make both cowl sides. And then we'll figure out how we're gonna mount them. I'm not entirely sure yet. So what I'm gonna do, that is my largest point here. So I'm just eyeballing it just enough to make it even on both sides. So what I might do is I'll just trim this side now to make that fit, and then I'll put it back in, and then we'll just see what this front bit looks like and see how much needs to get taken off that. I feel like I could almost sand it. So let's see. Yeah, so that certainly fits a lot better now. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now with the front, we want to do the very same. See if I can just give you a little close up. It's kind of hard to see, but we'll tape it into place. I'll do the same again, run the tape line down with this, and then we'll trim the front. So we've transferred our cardboard template for our cowl side. I'm gonna put it on to the aluminum, and I'm gonna allow a 25 mil gap all the way around just for the meantime until I get everything fitted properly. And then I'll go over to the brake. I'll brake the side, bottom, and top. And then the side that sits on the cowl will just be a flange because of the way it sits on there. So it's gonna be a little bit tricky. I just really wanna make sure we get the bends correct so that I know the distance and everything will sit nice and tight. So I'm just gonna lay this out, do a few measurements, and then we'll cut it out. All right, so what I've done is transferred the cardboard cowl template onto our aluminum. And what I'm gonna do now is actually just cut this out. I've got my brake lines here, so I've added 25 mil on the bottom side, the front side that goes against the grill, and the top. And then this will be notched out for the cowl side. And then I will clean all these out, get them cut, and then I will do a few rough, like the off cuts. I'll just put them in the brake and just see exactly where they're gonna fold on the line so I know that I can get it exact. Well, I'm saying that now, hopefully it works. So what I'm gonna do now is just get my respirator gear on, safety glasses, ear protection, and I'm gonna cut this out using a little bit of that wax on the blade. It works really, really well. And then I'll just clean up the edges with the deburring tool and just give them a little light sand. And then we will clean all these up and then start bending some stuff. Okay, so we are gonna stick in our first bend. Yeah, which would be our bottom one. If that's clamped down. So let's, all right, so you can see I've got my brake in there now, and I've just had to notch out
kind of the bottoms just to pass the headers. And then I just notched this piece out here, as you can see. And I just used one of my dimple die cutters, I suppose you'd call it. So that just nipped off the little bit there. And if we walk over here, and I'll just fit this, you can kind of see when I slide it down into place, it just clears underneath each one. And then that little cutout allows it to sit right around where the motor mount is. So if we hold this back and kind of hold it into place, kind of gives you a bit of a visual of what it's going to look like. I definitely like how everything's lining up so far. Nice purchase on the bottom. There's clearance around everything, which is good. I could probably actually run that out a little bit more. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'll just break this end. We'll get everything kind of mocked up where it's going to sit. Might try and clamp it into place, and then we're going to figure out this one here. All right, this one's important. Let's get this one done. So we'll break and bend that one. All right, so we got our last bend. So hopefully, if my math equations are correct, this should super close. It's just that's not 90 degrees. That is our nice cowl side. Let's go see how much I screwed up the measurements. I reckon that'll work. Okay, so after removing the dipstick that was hanging out and causing the issue, we've got it sitting in place. So it actually worked out. It's got a really nice consistent gap all the way up the top. This one I just need to trim out a couple mil around that guy. But other than that, they fit nice and tight. They got about 5 mil all the way around each one. Sitting right down on the frame, nice and tight. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'll probably fix these somehow into place. I don't know how, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. Maybe with the Zeus fasteners, or I kind of want to mount them so that I'm able to remove them quickly as well as the hood, but I'm just gonna see how the hood will fit. Fingers crossed I got my measurements right, but oh yeah. So what I'm gonna try and do is somehow attach the hood to this, maybe using some like old pieces of leather or some buckles or something to hold it down, and then I could just click both off and pull the whole thing off. So that's kind of the idea. And then these will be a little bit more permanent, but still removable if needed. So, and after thinking about it now, I might draw out a couple louvers here, but I honestly don't think nothing should be done to any of this. Maybe the top. If I just did 4 rows of louvers, last one kind of ended here, and then it's just really clean the whole way down, and then kind of attracts your eye to the main piece of the car, which is the pipes. So I think a couple louvers might actually be too much for it. All right, on to the other side. so we're working on the right side. And what I'm just gonna do now is mark out where I need to cut that little piece out for the motor mount, and as well as the little bits for the cheesecake. Okay, so as you can see, if you dip down here, you can just see where I've roughly outlined where the motor mount is. So what we'll do now is I'll take this over. Oh, look at all the snacks.
Snack guy.
Olives.
Just feeding the boys so they can have their energy and make more YouTube videos at Bennett's Customs.
All right, so what we're gonna do is, this is our Dazzy little, just get that out a bit. So this is usually what I use to punch holes in all sorts of materials when I'm doing bead rolls, or not even, or dimple dies, but not even have to actually use them. So and there you have it. So let's take it back over. Perfectly notched around the flathead motor mount. I couldn't resist taking it off. I needed to see what it was gonna look like. And everyone is somewhat convinced to paint it the same color as the body, but I'm gonna go the opposite, because I usually do that, and I'm gonna polish the top and bottom and do the louvers on the top. And if it looks funny then I can paint it, but I don't want to go the opposite way. So you can see how it's got a little bit of shine to it. And I think polished up, that would look really, really nice. Especially if we ran 4 rows of louvers. You know, even if I did a long one and then did just a short one, and maybe did, I don't know, one down here maybe? Maybe that's too much. I don't want to add too much. Looks nice and simple. But yeah, we're going to pull this off now. We'll lay it out on the table. So this kind of gives you an idea what the inside looks like. So I have a break on the top, the bottom. These are the notches for the motor mounts. And then these are the bits where the headers sit. Then I have a flange in here where they're sitting together. Finished, sort of. As you can see, didn't realize how dirty they were. That's polish. I've been polishing all day. And that's a little sneak peek of next week's video. And some other things that are gonna get punched in here, which is gonna be really cool. But yeah, super happy with the way it turned out. That was hood number 3. So I got all the templates saved now. So if I wanna do another one, which we weren't sure whether or not we were gonna paint it or polish it. I decided to polish. The boys wanted paint. So we had, yeah, I just ended up polishing it, but I might make another set and paint them and do the same and, you know, have something to swap it over, change it up a little bit, which would be kind of cool. It's just not stay stale and stays the same the whole time. So yeah, but I'm super happy with the way it's turned out. It's been a huge learning experience. So yeah, and now what I need to design now is a nice little air cleaner that'll sit under there. And we'll get some latches on here and get everything fixed into place. So that'll be really cool. So that'll be on next week's video. Also, just wanted to mention that we do have our members subscription available now. So we'll have a link down in the description and it's as well at the top of our page, on our main page, right up next to the subscribe button. There is 2 different categories. We kind of just have the Bennett support group, and that's basically, you know, for those who have been enjoying the channel and what we've been coming up with, and you know, kind of future ideas. And then there is the Bennett's family option, which is basically going to be a little bit more in depth. We want to have a bit more communication between you guys. And, you know, this is kind of coming at a really good time, because we are coming out with 2 new projects next week. So that's going to be really cool. So with that one, we just kind of like want you guys to be involved a little bit more, and you know, have some Q&As and have some like chats about what we can do and some ideas, and yeah, try and just like kind of involve you guys a little bit more with our projects. You know, you guys have basically kind of shaped where this went from day dot. We didn't really know kind of what to expect, and we've just had nothing but amazing feedback. So we want to try and, you know, like give more footage to you guys, and more variety, basically. So we still want to try and keep with those build threads, which we'll try and do, but the next 2 projects are going to be some really exciting ones. So yeah, just have a look. Might not be something you're into. For anyone that's not interested in signing up for this, it does not matter. We are like, the channel's not changing. You guys will still get the exact same content on our page. You're not going to miss out on anything, but it's just, if you do sign up, there's just a little bit extra for you guys. So and we will have a bunch of stuff up on our store too, which soon, which is really cool. Yeah, and just want to, you know, like thank everyone so far who's been a part of the channel, and, you know, all those kind of those early members that kind of jumped on right away. They've kind of been with us since day dot. They've, you know, always chime in, always give us great feedback. They give us great ideas, maybe some things not to do or how to do, which has been really cool. So it's great to like be learning from you guys as much as me trying to teach what I know, and what I've learned. So it's great. And if you guys are interested in joining the support group or the Bennett's family, we will have a button in the link in the description. It is as well will be, while you're watching our video, it'll just be down at the bottom. There'll be a subscribe one and one right beside it saying join support group. And there is one above on our main page on YouTube, right at the top, where it says subscribe. If you do hit that button, it will come up with the 2 different levels that we are offering. If you click more info on the details, it'll give you just a list of everything that you'll get as part of it. But yeah, have a look. Might be something you're interested in, might be something not, but anyways, we'll catch you guys on another episode next week on Bennett's Customs.